Hello everybody, this is Q Business Talks. Today we have very interesting guest, also a Croatian guy now living in London as the CEO of money.co.uk. I think many of you know the platform, and also Chief Growth Officer of RVU. Very interesting company, very interesting person. Bojan, I'm very excited to have you here as my guest. How are you?
Very good, very good. Thanks for inviting me, Philip. Very nice background, love the lilies.
So tell me about your company.
So the RVU is a relatively young company. We have entered the UK market through an acquisition. So our parent company acquired effectively what at that time was the biggest portal for finding real estate and the biggest portal for finding your cheaper electricity deal as well as broadband. So we have kind of split it out, and we have created a comparison platform called RVU. What we are aiming to do there is empower people to make confident decisions, and we are effectively covering all sorts of different life moments that you can think about. Everything from when you need to find what is the best broadband deal, what is the best way how you can service your electricity, all the way to mortgages, to loans, to credit cards, everything like that. So what we do is we, through multiple different brands, cover those different areas where people need help to empower them to make those confident decisions.
So what's your role in all of this?
From the beginning, I started first running money.co.uk because we wanted to operationally look at how do we improve that business. So that's what I started off doing. And then within a year after that, we realized that there were a lot of projects that needed love today for value tomorrow. So that's where we created this. Yeah, exactly. So what we did is we created this role called growth. And effectively what sits there is exactly that. So all the projects or initiatives, doesn't really matter whether it's marketing, whether it's commercial, whether it requires product. It's a team that is currently north of 100 people strong, and they work on the most exciting projects that are going to help us in the future, not necessarily bring revenue today, but bring value tomorrow.
So 100 people thinking about the future. Tell us about the future. What are the trends in your industry? How the future will look like?
So I've been always saying that the term price comparison as a website is just very, very outdated. All we are effectively trying to do is help people make decisions. And when you look at what's happening with regards to the online search trends, with regards to how people interact with different brands, what we are aiming to do is effectively create relationships with as many people as possible. Right now we have north of 20 million relationships with the UK households. If you think that we have 29 million households in the UK, the coverage is pretty significant. What we don't do yet, and we are about to do, is just make their lives easier, because you are providing so much information on so many different platforms. So the future really is, I will know you, Philip. I will know who you are, what you do. I will know all the information that you're giving to me, whether it was on money.co.uk, on usage.com, on confused.com. And I will be able to make very significant improvements in your decision making through using powerful technology in the background. That's what we need to aim to get to. We need to get away from this old language of price comparison website and enter the new sphere of decisioning platforms in a way. And we help you and we empower you to make those confident decisions.
What are some technological challenges that you have at the moment, and how can Q help?
To be honest, on one hand side it's technological, on the other hand side it's all about value proposition to the customer. Why would I, as a customer, benefit from you connecting this data? So I always think about anything that we think about as a technological problem is effectively a value proposition problem that is solved by technology. So that's kind of the first layer, that's the underlying layer of data. The second one is we aim to be running tests on north of 60-70% of our traffic at any point in time. So in order to do that, we need to empower our people, our employees, our teams to be able to use tools that iterate on our experiences as quickly as possibly we can do, which means that we need to invest both in, and this is what Q is helping us a lot on, actually on a lot of the projects that they are working on, is iteration on the different tests, because only by bringing something to real life to the consumer, you can actually see whether it makes a difference or not, and whether we are in effect making their experience better. So that's the second one. And then the third part, which is again kind of a little bit of a tricky one, but we need to be able to, as a company, we need to be able to join up on the front end as well. How do these experiences coexist? So, let alone, one thing is data, but the other thing is, and this is what I'm really excited about, how do we create integrated experience? So if you started something on Confused.com and you have switched your car insurance, for example, how do I then create a journey for you that seamlessly allows you to also help you on broadband, help you on energy? Mojo, who we just acquired, who is an online mortgage broker, and we just closed the deal 10 days ago, which gives us another way of getting that, what I like to call trigger points in your life. When you have a mortgage, we know that you're moving your house. When you move your house, we need to help you with your home insurance. We need to help you with your energy. We need to help you with your broadband. So it's always just in that kind of circle and cycle of life.
You always buy different companies. Can you tell us some numbers, the size of the deals and how many deals you've done in the last maybe 1 or 2 years? Because this is very fascinating.
Yeah, I can't share too many numbers, but I can share roughly the size of scale. I can share one number, which is for when we entered UK, we bought the business for $3 billion. So that's kind of the starting point, which was usage.com, money.co.uk.
So this was just the
Zoopla.
Appetizer. $3 billion,
Yes.
This was just the appetizer.
Exactly. So we just started off with that. And then you could imagine that probably a company of that appetite, what kind of acquisitions we were doing. Some were bigger, some were smaller, but in principle, I think if we had this chat in another year or two, we would have another 1-2 big hitters under our belt. That's our plan. We love scale. We don't like to do anything just for fun. We are very intentional about things. So when we presented, 2 years ago, when I talked about a strategy for our business, I said, we need to get into insurance. We need to get into mortgages. And the third one I can't share because it's going to reveal my next
Secret.
step. But effectively what we have done since then, we have acquired Confused.com. We have acquired Mojo Mortgages. And the third one is on its way.
Okay, congratulations, and I wish you all the best, for the third one. Let's now go briefly to Q. What exactly does Q do for you? And maybe you can explain one particular project in a very simple way, how we are helping you guys to be better.
Yeah, sure. So we started off with a relationship quite a while ago. I think it was probably even 3 years ago.
Something like that, yeah.
It was very interesting. We started off in one part of my organization within growth, which is, and what they're looking to do is solve problems through platforms. If the whole organization wants to run more tests, that team creates a platform that allows you to run more tests, and then therefore we don't have to solve the problem multiple different times. That's how we started off with Q. So Q was working together with the team in a very integrated fashion. And that proved to be quite a big success, because what we have seen afterwards, it's kind of Q spread a little bit like wildfire. So I think now we have probably 3 or 4 smaller teams, and you have to remember we work in a very lean way. So we typically, our entire org structure of engineering is not that big. So from a percentage point, Q is making quite a significant percentage in terms of our overall workforce. Mm-hmm. And the way how I would describe it, the commonality across these projects, and what I really liked is that it was always very easy to for Q to understand what we need and who we need, we were able to get very good talent on a very quick, short notice, and we were able to get them to feel integrated with a team so they can solve problems together. So, another example was the migration in money.co.uk that is preventing us from being really innovative. And we asked for Q's help in order to push it over the line. And now finally, after 2 years, we are effectively extremely proud to say that Money is operating completely on a new platform. So literally it has been everything from kind of platformy work all the way to helping on the front end in terms of creating new components to allow for our content teams to build better sites, all the way to figure out what is the best way how we can run tests across the organization. So it has really been shown that it's an amphibian, kind of like morph itself into whatever it needs to be in order to be helpful. What we found as a secret to success, like with everything, is people. I think that it's very clear to me that we have invested a lot of time overall in our company on culture, and culture is the number one thing that binds us. And from the very first moment I met with you, and also with everyone else in the leadership team, but also from the engineers, that's what binds you as well. And that's how we look for everything. When you ask me what's my M&A strategy, you don't even know how many people I said no to just because I thought the guy on the call is just not someone that I want to sit next to in an airplane. Never. Doesn't matter what the numbers say, doesn't matter how great you are, doesn't matter, I don't care. If we can't click as people, we won't be able to work together. And that's what we found we could actually do with Q. So I really appreciate that.
If Q was an animal, what kind of animal would it be?
What kind of animal? This is I shouldn't say this, but this is my favorite interview question. What kind of animal would you be if you were an animal? So I would say, I think, let's go with something like a chameleon. I really like. I think my biggest thing with Q really is that it's an animal that changes its colors and it blends in really, really well, which is not something that you can say for a lot of similar businesses like Q, and we have worked with quite a few of them. So I think that's one. But also when you need it to do something like the chameleon does, it's a very precise, click of a tongue, and it goes and executes it. So it's kind of like a combination of a very steady animal that fits into the environment, but at the same time it's dangerous. It's not a little cuddly bear. So like when you need it, when it's work time, it's work time. So I think that's kind of how I would describe it. Actually, I'm very happy with that description. Yeah, so I'll go with that.
Okay, I like both. I'm particularly proud that we can execute. Maybe it's a bad language, but we always say just get shit done.
Yeah.
And this is our motto, and I'm really happy that you recognize that. Thank you very much for your time. I hope to see you soon in person. See you at least in London or perhaps in Zagreb.
And thanks for inviting me.
Thank you very much for coming. Bye-bye. Everybody, this was Q Business Talks. See you soon. Bye-bye.